Because I think it will be easier for you,
A little bit.
mainly.
It's a little bit.
And for some reason, I think that's kind of the purpose of this, to get to know you a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So the reason we're here, my name is Johan. I work at a Swedish distribution company called Fitzpatrick, and we distribute Schecter guitars and Orange amps, which are two brands that you are currently playing. And, and
oh, it's the new one too.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Very cool.
Yes. So the idea is we'll have a little chat. I have some questions, and I have some topics to talk about regarding the brands, and then it's not going to be a long thing, so it will open quite quickly to whatever questions you guys might have for Nick. And
awesome.
We'll do this till we're done, and
Let's
then
do it. Let's do it.
And that's it. But I would like to start to go back a little bit, because when I look at the range of guitars that you have with Schecter, you're sort of doing a historical backwards kind of thing. You started with some guitars, and then you're going to a simpler guitar step by step.
Eventually, it'll be a lute. That'll be the next one.
Probably
carved out frets.
Yeah, exactly. But at one point it must have been like the Floyd Rose and the locking tuners and all of that. And just give us a brief history of what happened and why you're where you are now regarding the models.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it. I think well, when I first started playing back in what year, 2001, the first guitar I got was a Squire Bullet. Anybody remember the Squire Bullet?
Yeah,
Anybody?
I do.
Yeah. Really nice guitar.
Yeah.
So I got a used Squire Bullet, and then I had the little amp that matched it.
Yeah.
Fender Frontman 15.
Oh, you had 15? I had the 10.
I had reverb.
I had 10 and no reverb.
I got you on that one.
Yeah, you did. You kept
in the noise wars. So I played that guitar for a long time, and I just kind of felt like the Strat or the Strat's type guitar was just, that was the guitar.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize at the time there were other guitars.
No.
I just didn't know. I grew up in a really small town, and the reason I got into guitar was my neighbor played, and he played one of those same guitars.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, that must be.
So it wasn't
guitar.
like Jimi Hendrix or Richie Blackmore?
No, I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't. My dad listened to a little bit of Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and stuff. So I heard. I think one of my first memories is hearing Robert Plant just screaming. I remember being a little baby, just what is that? So anyway, so it started with that, and then I had those guitars up until I think sometime I was maybe 18. I saved up. Yeah. Much like in Norway and Canada, we have a lot of snow, so I got paid to shovel and driveways.
Nice.
And I bought a pretty involved guitar. The brand doesn't exist anymore, so it's fine. But it had a Floyd Rose. It had the phase switcher. It had the active pickups, the cappuccino machine. It had everything on it.
Was the cappuccino good?
Yeah. And it was just, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I would play everything with the bar, and it got to a point. I knew I wasn't working well with this guitar because my best friend who I was playing a lot of guitar with is one day he said, "You sound really terrible."
Oh, really?
I was like, "Oh, jeez."
Honest friends.
Yeah, because it'd be like everything with the bar. I play a G chord, bang, tuning, doing day, bang. It got so out of hand, So I sold that, and I bought a Telecaster, which was a canoe paddle basically with a pickup in it.
Yeah.
So it was the opposite in every way, and it kind of reshaped how I played, and then got me kind of back into playing single coils and Strat style guitars. And then years later, about 10 years later, through a series of circumstances, I was offered a Schecter endorsement.
Yeah.
And I was so unknown at the time. I'm still relatively unknown in this scene. But I was really unknown at the time. And if you guys know, I don't know, I don't want to give you a history lesson on Schecter, but they go back to the 70s as a parts replacement in a custom shop. And then in the mid-90s, they got bought out by the Japanese company, and they were tasked to make the Diamond series, essentially, which is what we all know them as, like all those devil worshipping guitars.
Demons and
all that stuff. And I didn't really connect with that stuff. That wasn't me. I listened to Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go up and play a Hellraiser, playing
Why
Brush
not?
with the Blues or something.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know much about that. What else do you have? And they had a whole other range of guitars and these traditional guitars. And because I was down here as a name in the industry, and their custom shop was pretty low, we kind of started to go up together. And that was the plan, that they looked at me as like this
Prodigy.
younger kid, and you know, at the time too, definitely not Prodigy. At the time, everybody was playing a Petrucci guitar too. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was playing Ernie Ball music.
Yeah.
And an Axe Effects, and I plugged my guitar straight into an amp.
Yeah.
And it just sounded a bit different. And hey, buddy. And they kind of saw that. I was like, that's, you know, he's doing something different.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started from there.
Yeah.
And because of the success of this guitar, especially
Yeah, and it's been tremendous.
yeah, especially over the pandemic too,
Yeah.
it sold quite well. They basically just said, you know, do you want to do another one?
Yeah.
And it's the natural pair.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course it is.
It wouldn't be that and then a 7-string with a
Sustain, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's, you know, EMGs in it. So it just kind of started. It started very much just we were all kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah.
And over time, I think now there's like 17 of them. Or
Yeah,
some ridiculous
Yeah.
number. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
But
That's where it
do
all
you
went.
mainly use the single coil, the one with 3 single coils, or the one with the Hamburg?
I switch a lot.
Yeah.
It depends what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it depends on where I am too. I was in a venue in Scotland not that long ago, and I think this is the reason why I needed a humbucker. The building was so old I was playing. It was like an old dungeon basically. The 60 cycle hum and the noise floor was louder than the signal.
Oh, really?
Even when okay, it's like playing on neck. You know, even when the band's playing. As soon as everything stops or between phrases, I have to switch to the in between just so it cancels the phase. Back. You know, so it just got to the point where I'm like, that's not fun.
No.
As much as I used to enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I have a guitar with. And also a model with a humbucker to avoid that.
And did you have any? What was the process of choosing the humbucker? Was that just you described what kind of sound you wanted, or did you try a different?
Actually, that was one of the only times I would go down and try and develop something a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell the story. I'll try. I don't know if this is 100% correct anymore. It's been a few years, but at the time. When I had the guitar, it was going well, so then they asked if I wanted to make some pickups. So the first one we did was this one set, and then we made another one to kind of improve on it. And at the time, there was a guy named John Gadesi at Schecter, who's now the head of the Fender Custom Shop. He was working at Schecter. And he had a whole bunch of this old wire. I know it sounds weird. He had a lot of wire. That was very, everybody wanted this wire, you know? And the reason was it was this Formvar dipped pickup wire. And he had bought up all of it. And this was like this legendary...
With unicorn blood.
Exactly. And so all that wire, it was dedicated just to my pickups. So
really?
They're extremely nice.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that. I swear, I swear. And it had nothing to do with me. I mean, that was John. He was just like, he was like a childhood friend of Eddie Van Halen. Like he knew guitars and pickups and electronics. So he was just the right guy.
Yeah.
And I just said to them, like, I want to get rid of a lot of that mid-range. And just ripped all that out. Lower the output so I can hit a little harder.
Dynamics.
And then same with the humbucker. It was just do a humbucker version of that. I'd go down and try a few, but I'm not really a tinkerer or a gear guy. I kind of have the mentality of, the old Ron Popeil commercials of set it and forget it.
Yeah.
When it works, it's like, okay, cool. Especially because I do so much traveling. And welcome, come on in. I do so much traveling that I need the thing to be stable. And I'm not like a big artist where I can bring everything I don't have freight. I'm not bringing amps and stuff. It's just I usually travel with a gig bag, if you can believe it.
No.
And it's on the plane. And I have to, let's hope it works. I keep it simple and quality over anything.
Quantity,
anything,
that's good. And regarding the Strat and the Tele, or we should say the traditional and the PT,
let's call it what it is.
Are the restrictions in the PT bringing out some other forms of when you approach songwriting, basically? Does it vary how you approach a song regarding which guitar you're using?
No, not at all.
No?
Not at all, no. I find all my songwriting usually happens at the piano.
Okay.
The choice on which guitar I pick up, it's more so the tone.
Okay.
I find this guitar, I definitely play a little differently. Having a humbucker in the neck, I don't know who's tried a Telecaster with a humbucker in the neck, but it's a completely different sound. I find this guitar is a little bit physically heavier. So just even when I'm playing it standing up or playing sitting down, I find it's like a little bit more balanced, a little bit more comfortable. Although I am sort of a pickup selector freak, I find that's kind of keeps me in check a little bit more because it's kind of a little bit more, you got to be a little bit more precise with where you're going. But no, it was just one of those things where I had played one so much in my 20s. I just wanted one again. Selfishly, they offered.
And if they offer, why not?
And they both kind of have the same neck, more or less, same woods, more or less the same pickups. So it's just a choice thing. It's like today I want to play that, or today I want to play that.
But so when you said that most of the songwriting comes from piano, that kind of answers what would have been my next question.
Okay.
But because you have your solo stuff where you it's just instrumental, and then you're also, I think, although you yourself have said that people on the internet said that you shouldn't perhaps stick
open my
to
mouth
singing
too much.
But I think I really enjoy your band and I really enjoy when you sing it. So I'm just thinking, if it's going to be an instrumental part where you're doing the guitar virtuoso thing versus this needs to be a pop song or like a song that people enjoy listening to when they're not used to listening to instrumental. Is there a different approach in that momentum, or is it still the piano and this will either be my solo stuff or they will be the band?
That's a great question. That's a difficult question to answer. I've approached my career, whatever you want to say, very selfishly. So I don't think about those things.
No,
it's I'm sure some of you write music as well. It's a lot easier when you aren't trying to write. At least I find when I'm like, I got to try and write a song for this band. Today I'll write it's just nothing, or it's garbage. It's like just drag it right into the trash or something. I find I'm just constantly, I get up pretty early in the morning. I get up, I don't know, 6:30, something like that, and I just go right to the piano. And I just sit and I work all day. I play guitar when it needs to be played, but I just write so much that I just have a wealth of music, and when something's working, where it has to go. You just have a sense. You're like, okay, this is going to go over here. Or I also have a project with my wife where she sings, and I know what kind of music she's looking for, and I know what kind of music that needs to be. So if something just is sparked from that, then okay, I know what to do with this. But everything just starts off. It all starts off just as a concept of a melody and harmony, and I feel like a lot of that stuff could work in the instrumental world or the singing world. It just depends on what we've been doing or I have this other band, Archival, where I sing. I want to bring some instrumental music on that as well, just to kind of have a mixture of things. But I never think about is this going to be on this band? Is it going to be? What are people going to think? I mean, the singing thing, I joke about that, like what people say, because it is a very vulnerable thing to do after hiding behind a guitar for so long. So you kind of see some of that and you're like, oh, okay.
But if you haven't listened to Archival, I would really recommend it because I've listened to it. We had an 8-hour drive to get here from Stockholm, and we listened to a lot of your stuff that is out there, and then we were really blown away by the Archival song.
Oh my God.
We thought it was really, really good.
Thank you very much. I'll tell Ben you said that.
Yes.
But no, it all just starts off with just that sort of innocent. I'm still a child with that. I just sit down and let's see what happens. Yeah,
and it's really interesting that you're known as a guitarist, but you write all your songs on the piano first, which kind of is a way to really, you have the melodies at your finger. Whatever chord you're playing, you can just, in a different way. With the guitar, it is a chord if it's a chord, but on the piano, it's really easy to make it a melodic thing with just hitting chord changes.
Yeah, the limitations are nice. I fall back, I'm sure maybe some of you pick the guitar up, you play the licks you like to play. Whereas the piano, I joke, I'm kind of like my dad with the iPhone, where he's trying to text. He's like, trying to find the X. He can't find the X. It's me. I'm getting better. Well, it's funny. I've been playing piano now almost as long as I've been playing guitar. So I hope I'm getting better. But it's I don't have the technique, and I have a little bit of restriction, and that creates more of a focus on maybe what matters.
Yeah, of course.
And what matters to me is just harmony. It's just experimenting and just trying to open things up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I just put a new album out last week.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the last album in that style.
Okay.
Where it's a little bit more song structured, using harmony I'm known for, I guess. Whereas moving forward, I have a new record coming in next year, which would be quite a bit more expansive and using different harmony and stuff. But
Okay.
always starting out just
Piano.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's the guitar side of it, and we're not going to take too much time, but we need to talk a little bit about the Orange stuff as well, because you've played different amps earlier, and you've had endorsement deals with, I think, Mesa Boogie and
Boogie. I was with Friedman for a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe one other one, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally.
What was appealing about Orange, or is there a story behind it, or was it just?
You know, this is an odd way to approach working with companies, but the people.
Yeah.
I've worked at a bunch of different. I mean, even before, like, people would have looked at me and go, "That's a weird choice for that style of music." Schecter.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the company. It's
the people.
It really is,
Yeah.
because you can get a great guitar anywhere.
Sure.
But if I want to have a relationship with a company that's going to maybe kind of try to lift me up a little bit, or at least grow with me, or I can grow with them, it's the same thing. I mean, Orange is much bigger than, they don't need me, but you know, the A&R people, the reps, backline, everything. I've never really met or worked with a company that has that kind of forward-thinking infrastructure and is that generous and kind and stuff. And it's just, I mean, this amp is pretty simple. It's just like a kind of a vintage kind of rock sounding amp, and that's always really been my sound.
Yeah.
And I had a rock reverb, which I thought was really cool, but it kind of didn't get me where I wanted to be.
Sure.
And they had told me about this a while ago, so I was kind of just, you know, just waiting.
Yeah.
Just waiting. I can't wait to play this thing.
Yeah.
And now it's just I have a good relationship with them, so they're everywhere. I can get one anywhere in the world. I have one at the house. I record with one.
Yeah.
And it's just easy. There's no. They don't pressure me to have. You know, now when you work with a company, like we need every 2 weeks a video of you playing the gear, a review of all of our new gear. You're just like, I don't have, first of all, the time, but the mental energy to do that.
No.
So again, it's just this is in my corner. It's gonna work, and I'm happy. That's enough for me. Yeah.
And that is the important part, because it needs to work every time you get on the stage.
Every time, yeah.
And it doesn't need to take the energy away from playing.
Yeah, I'm just not that I'm not a gear searcher. I just when something works, I'm there's more important stuff to do.
Yes, of course. Play piano. All right,
So,
we could talk a little bit more about gear and so on, but maybe there's some questions that is regarding.
If anybody has a question,
yes.
please feel free.
So
ask. There were no bad questions.
The only bad answers, right? Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Do we want to use this mic for the questions? Yep.
Oh yes, unless everybody wants to put on the Britney mic.
Yeah. We're the Britney duo.
Right.
So this is on. Let's see. Yeah, it's on here at least. Yep. So any questions?
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for an interesting presentation.
Thanks for coming.
What is exactly a pickup selector freak?
Where I'm just constantly playing every note. I'm trying to open up the volume, the key on it.
Is it someone who selects different kind of pickup for every run, or?
It's more so thinking about, let's say, in the moment, if something needs to be a little bassier or have a little bit more treble in it, or if I'm bending a note that's already on the neck, in the middle of that bend, trying to figure out these sort of like while you're hitting the string, picking the note, and flicking the selector to kind of get that note to open up a little bit. The wah, that's
built-in wah.
Pretty much, yeah. And just like that being such a focus of my playing, which is unusual. Some people, I talk to them like, I never use it. So yeah.
Is it inspired from someone else? Or
no, not really. It's just what I want to hear. It's just the tone I'm looking for. The endless, dissatisfaction.
Thanks.
Cool. Anybody else? Question? Concern?
Yes. Concerns?
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you for really awesome talk. You mentioned that when you start composing, you just get up early, sit behind the piano, and start
Yeah.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
Usually, when you do stuff like that, the ideas flow all over the place. There's no structure. There's no nothing. What's your recording process? Do you hit record as well?
Oh,
Or
that's
do
a good
you
question.
recognize, and how do you recognize if you're in the middle of that whole conundrum of ideas, what to record, when to record? And lastly, once you're done with all of that, do you have a specific procedure of
Oh, jeez.
sifting through the ideas?
Oh
and
man,
finding-
yeah. Well, you're kind of just you're basically just describing my problems of the day. No, I mean I've been doing, I suppose I've been doing it like that for so long now that the method just sort of developed on its own. I'm sure if you're a composing musician, you probably are aware of when you found something. And it could be like just like those two notes or one chord change or something. When I find that, I just wrestle with it until I have the thing, you know.
You grab it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I'm not a, if I may say, I'm not a gifted musician by any stretch. I'm not a hyper talented musician. I just work really hard, and I find like complete joy, like complete 100% all-encompassing happiness when I find a new thing, and it's just that feeling. I'm not doing it for any other reason than just riding the wave, you know.
Yeah.
And when I find it, I'm so elated. I get little chills thinking about it. I'm so excited that I just have to figure out the math. I have to like crack the code.
It happened.
Yeah. Oh. So then once you're at that point, you just see where the song wants to go. You don't overthink it. I try as best as I can not to think about anybody else or any, you know, what would they do, or how would this guitar player, if this was Beethoven, he wouldn't do that. Like I don't care. It's just how do I feel? And then in terms of sifting through the material, it's really just me building off of an idea. So I'm always aware of it. I'm always knowing where it's going. I always know what I recorded. I don't sit and have record on. I tried that. I just find I feel sad at the end of it. It's like that was 3 hours. I got to delete, you know, or undo or something. And that's not making me feel good. But I had a session with a guitar player in this band. I've been working with him a little bit. We're writing some music of this Canadian band. They're called Crownlands, and they're like a Rush kind of prog style band. And I remember he came over, and they have a record that came out, for example, their first side of the vinyl is one song. It's about 40 minutes long. So they're no stranger to long songs, but we were sitting and I was showing him the demo I put together for us, and he's just like, how do you remember these chords? Because there was like, probably like, I don't know, 150 chord changes in the song. It's a long song. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just the method. You just develop the method. Like I'm not sitting there charting, or I'm not writing manuscript. I'm just, you know, like staring at, if I'm recording or I'm at the piano, I'm fully invested in it. Yeah. There's no phone. I'm not looking at Instagram. My wife's probably still sleeping at this point. The cat might be yelling a little bit, but I'm just fully engaged, and I've been doing it this way since I was probably 16. So it's just my method now.
No distractions.
No distraction. And this doesn't even come into the equation. This stays. I don't even touch the guitar. It's just all writing. So if that helps.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
I'm kind of like connecting to this talk because I was curious. The new album I really like.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
It's so well rounded. So my question is that as you're writing this material, how much of the material you actually go through in terms of what you discard and what you decide to sort of continue working on? Does it happen really quickly and you kind of get to these nuggets like, really fast and you kind of keep developing them, or you actually have like a lot of different material that is just being, kind of like, that's not it. And like, how long does it take that you get to these
Right.
eight ideas that
Right.
are worth working on.
Right. I think, well, Child of Bliss you're referring to, obviously.
Yeah.
So then first, just the backstory. So Child of Bliss is my wife's name translated to English. Her name's Sachiko. And I just gotten married, and I wanted to, my next album was going to be about that whole thing. And I think this music, it's so old now that I'm happy, this record, I think I wrote all that music back in 2021. Just taking time, scheduling and all that stuff. So I think I had originally written maybe 30 songs for it. And some of them were really cool, but they didn't work as a record. And that's sometimes the hardest thing, because I could just release singles, could do that. I don't particularly like that though. I'm kind of old school in that way. I like a body of work. I like, listen to a single and it's maybe not the whole artist. You don't hear everything. So it helps to have everything in a playlist. I spent probably a year just listening, walking around with it. Do I still feel good about this material? The way that one went was I had all that music. Let's say I broke it down from 30 to 15. Let's say I cut it in half. I have all that music. I cut it down again. Let's say it's 10. Let's just not cut it in half. But so I'm living with 10 songs. I'm really happy with it, and then I start to maybe assemble who I want to play on it, and whoever's available who can do it. I'm kind of keeping them in mind, and then eventually, just over time constraints, sort of pressure, and all of these things, you have to get to what you want to release. And it ended up just being those 8 songs because just the way they felt together, the flow of the material, the tempo everything was at. But there's also a part of it, this thing maybe it's not talked about it as much, is I just gotta get this shit out. It's like it's just gotta move on. So there's a part of you where you're so precious about it, but if that's here, eventually time and age, just like you just gotta get it out. You gotta move on. You gotta get past it. That becomes more important. So, you live with that. Is this good enough? Is this the right thing? Blah blah. For so long, you kind of got to trust yourself a little bit. I just use myself as that barometer. But then I also have, I don't know, 4 or 5 people I really trust, and I trust their ears and I trust their opinion. And it's people I've been sending music to, I don't know, since Atomic Mind, like 10 years or so. So I send them like, what do you think? And I'll get feedback, and sometimes, okay, maybe they're right about that. I need to rethink about, but it's really depending on which record I'm releasing. The next one I'm doing it's only 6 songs, but the record's almost an hour long, so it's a different thing. So this record was more of an instrumental progressive rock, like very light on the progressive side, still with song structure. So it was kind of like just walking that balance and figuring out, does this represent where I'm at, especially after the pandemic, and especially after Young Language, where I sang on 4 of the songs. So I guess there's no easy answer. It's just a feeling thing. You'll be the only one that can answer that,
Right.
But if you're at that point, that's good, because it means you wrote a lot of material. And in terms of developing those simple ideas, is it fun? Am I enjoying developing these? Does this feel good? Do I want to see where this goes? If the answer is no to all of that, then just move on. Simple. Yeah. Cool, man.
So do you ever have, because you said some of those songs that you discarded, you thought were really good. Yeah. Do you keep them on the back burner, sort of?
Yeah. I have a graveyard of I don't know.
A graveyard?
Hundreds,
That's nice.
I have the hard drive graveyard of hundreds of pieces of music. Just maybe a project will come along where I can say, here's an idea. How do you develop it? I just started I have so many bands now, but I started another band. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's with a drummer, and he's also he writes a lot too. So he might be able to. I could give him one of these ideas, and he could develop it or something.
Yeah.
So, but I try not to go back into the past too often. I think it's behind me. You move on. Yeah. Cool. Anybody else? Question?
Well, in that case, I think unless there is any other questions,
All good if not.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think we had a good discussion, and you're very vocal about everything. So I think
Oh,
a lot of things that I was gonna ask you already answered in your.
My run-on sentences.
Yeah, no, but that's good, because so I think I'd like to thank you for your
Oh
time.
yes, thank
This
you.
was really
Thank
great.
you all for coming. I appreciate it. That's very
Yeah,
nice.
and let's hear it for Nick.
Thank you. I hope to see you later tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.